What you're about to see will change everything you thought you knew about Johnny Depp forever. When Hollywood's most iconic pirate walked into federal court that day, Judge Amy Barrett thought she was dealing with just another celebrity trying to escape legal consequences. She had no idea she was about to face the most brilliant legal mind Hollywood had ever hidden. "Your Honor," said Depp, his voice carrying that familiar intensity but now razor-sharp with legal precision, "before you dismiss me as just another actor, let me explain to you why your interpretation of the First Amendment in this case violates everything the Founding Fathers intended." What happened next didn't just shock Judge Barrett, it revolutionized constitutional law forever. This is the story of how Johnny Depp's secret legal genius destroyed an entire courtroom and proved that sometimes the most unexpected person can change history. Don't you dare scroll away, because in the next 60 seconds, you'll discover Johnny Depp's hidden secret that Hollywood kept buried for 30 years. Before we dive deeper into this incredible courtroom destruction, let me ask you something that will blow your mind. What if I told you that while Johnny Depp was filming Pirates of the Caribbean, he was secretly completing a Harvard law degree? What if the same man who brought Captain Jack Sparrow to life had spent decades mastering constitutional law in complete secrecy? The truth about Johnny Depp will shock you to your core. Make sure to hit that subscribe button right now, because what you're about to learn will change how you see celebrity intelligence forever. This is Justice Warriors, where hidden genius meets ultimate power. Barrett's world, Supreme Court authority meets Hollywood prejudice. Judge Amy Coney Barrett sat behind her imposing mahogany bench, her black robes flowing like judicial authority made manifest. At 52, she represented everything traditional about American legal power. Notre Dame Law School graduate, former Supreme Court justice, constitutional originalist who believed in strict interpretation of founding documents. That morning, Barrett looked across her courtroom at Johnny Depp with barely concealed disdain. To her, he represented everything wrong with celebrity culture, entitled, dramatic, using fame to escape consequences. Another Hollywood star playing dress-up in her sacred space of law and order. "Mr. Depp," she began, her voice dripping with judicial condescension, "this court recognizes your entertainment achievements. However, constitutional law requires serious legal scholarship, not theatrical performances. Do you truly believe you can argue complex First Amendment doctrine, or should we proceed with your legal team?" Barrett's assumption was about to become the biggest mistake of her judicial career, Johnny's hidden journey from Hollywood stages to Harvard law. The world knew Johnny Depp as the chameleon of cinema, Edward Scissorhands, Sweeney Todd, the Mad Hatter, Captain Jack Sparrow. His transformative performances had mesmerized audiences for decades, earning him over $3 billion at the global box office and establishing him as one of cinema's most versatile actors. But what nobody knew, not his agents, not his directors, not even his closest friends, was that Johnny Depp had been living a double life for over 20 years. Starting in 2003, between filming schedules and court appearances, Depp had been secretly pursuing legal education. It began with correspondence courses from Harvard Extension, evolved into private tutoring sessions with constitutional scholars, and culminated in completing a full Juris Doctor through Harvard's executive education program. "I realized early in my career that fame makes you a target," Depp had confided to his private legal mentor, Professor Lawrence Tribe. "If I was going to survive Hollywood's legal warfare, I needed to understand the battlefield better than my enemies." For 2 decades, while the world watched him transform into fictional characters, Depp was transforming himself into something far more powerful, a constitutional lawyer with deeper knowledge of First Amendment law than most federal judges. He studied landmark cases during makeup sessions, memorized Supreme Court precedents between takes, and wrote legal briefs in his trailer while others partied. His famous method acting preparation often included hours of constitutional law research to understand his character's legal rights in social contexts. The case that changed everything. The case that brought Johnny Depp before Judge Barrett was unlike anything Hollywood had seen. Depp v. Global Media Syndicate challenged the entertainment industry's entire approach to celebrity privacy and First Amendment protections. When global media published secretly recorded conversations between Depp and his legal team, they claimed First Amendment protection for their journalism. Depp argued this violated attorney-client privilege and represented a dangerous erosion of constitutional privacy rights that would affect every American citizen. But this wasn't just about privacy. It was about the fundamental question of whether constitutional rights applied equally to celebrities and ordinary citizens. Barrett, known for her conservative interpretation of constitutional law, seemed ready to side with the media company. In her view, celebrities had chosen public life and should accept reduced privacy expectations. She was about to learn that Johnny Depp understood constitutional law better than she did. The first constitutional clash. Mr. Depp, Barrett continued, shuffling through her papers dismissively, celebrity privacy claims are notoriously weak under established First Amendment precedent. The Supreme Court has consistently held that public figures must meet higher standards for privacy protection. Do you have any legal basis for your claims beyond emotional appeals? Barrett's question was designed to expose Depp as another celebrity plaintiff who didn't understand the law. She expected him to defer to his lawyers or provide superficial arguments about unfair treatment. Instead, Johnny Depp stood up, straightened his navy suit jacket, and delivered a constitutional analysis that would be quoted in law schools for decades. Your Honor, with respect, your characterization of Supreme Court precedent contains a fundamental constitutional error. The Court's decision in Gertz v. Robert Welch, Inc. specifically distinguished between general public figures and limited public figures, while maintaining that all Americans retain core constitutional privacy rights regardless of their profession. A stunned silence filled the courtroom. Barrett's face showed the first flicker of surprise. Moreover, Depp continued, his voice gaining power, the attorney-client privilege that global media violated isn't celebrity privilege. It's a fundamental constitutional protection that ensures every American can seek legal counsel without fear of government or media surveillance. When you erode this protection for celebrities, you erode it for everyone. Barrett leaned forward, suddenly paying attention. This wasn't celebrity whining. This was sophisticated constitutional analysis. The constitutional masterclass begins. Barrett decided to test Depp's legal knowledge with questions that typically stumped experienced attorneys. Mr. Depp, you cite Gertz, but what about Curtis Publishing Co. v. Butts? Doesn't that precedent establish broader media protections when covering public figures? Barrett was certain she had him now. Curtis Publishing was an obscure 1967 case that most lawyers hadn't studied since law school. Depp smiled, the same enigmatic smile that had captivated audiences in countless films, but now powered by decades of legal scholarship. Your Honor, Curtis Publishing actually supports my argument. Justice Harlan's majority opinion established that even public figures retain constitutional privacy rights when media conduct becomes highly unreasonable. Secretly recording attorney-client conversations clearly meets this standard. Barrett's confidence began to waver. Depp continued, but more importantly, Curtis Publishing was decided before the court's landmark ruling in Nixon v. Administrator of General Services, which established that attorney-client privilege serves constitutional purposes beyond individual privacy. It protects the entire justice system's integrity. The judge's face showed growing amazement. Depp was connecting constitutional doctrines in ways that demonstrated master-level legal understanding. Furthermore, Depp pressed on, the court's recent decision in Carpenter v. United States expanded constitutional privacy protections for the digital age. When global media used digital surveillance to violate my attorney-client communications, they violated not just my privacy, but fundamental constitutional principles that protect every American's right to legal counsel. Barrett was no longer trying to dismiss him. She was genuinely engaged with his constitutional arguments. The moment that destroyed everything. Barrett decided to challenge Depp with her strongest constitutional argument. Mr. Depp, even accepting your privacy claims, doesn't the First Amendment's protection of press freedom outweigh individual privacy rights when matters of public concern are involved? This was Barrett's knockout punch, the constitutional balance between press freedom and privacy that even Supreme Court justices debated. Johnny Depp's response would be remembered as one of the most brilliant constitutional arguments ever delivered in federal court. Your Honor, that question reveals a fundamental misunderstanding of constitutional structure. The First Amendment doesn't create a hierarchy where press freedom automatically trumps other constitutional rights. It creates a framework where all constitutional rights must coexist. Barrett sat back, stunned by the sophistication of his analysis. The court's decision in Brandsburg v. Hayes specifically held that press freedom doesn't exempt journalists from general laws that apply to all citizens. Attorney-client privilege is exactly such a law. It protects constitutional rights that are foundational to our justice system. Depp then delivered his constitutional masterpiece. But, Your Honor, there's a deeper constitutional principle at stake. When media companies can violate attorney-client privilege without consequences, they're not exercising press freedom. They're becoming instruments of government surveillance. The First Amendment was designed to prevent government tyranny, not enable private tyranny that serves the same oppressive function. The courtroom was electric with tension. Barrett realized she was witnessing constitutional argumentation at its highest level. Moreover, Depp concluded, if celebrities lose constitutional protections simply because of their profession, we've created a caste system that violates the Equal Protection Clause. The Constitution protects all Americans equally, regardless of their job, wealth, or fame. Barrett had to pause. The argument was so sophisticated, so constitutionally grounded, that it challenged her own judicial philosophy, the judge's complete transformation. Barrett looked at Johnny Depp with completely new eyes. The man she had dismissed as a frivolous celebrity plaintiff had just delivered constitutional analysis that surpassed most Supreme Court advocates. Mr. Depp, she said, her voice now filled with genuine respect, I must acknowledge that your constitutional arguments are extraordinarily sophisticated. You've demonstrated legal scholarship that rivals the most experienced constitutional advocates who appear before this court. Thank you, Your Honor, Depp replied. I hope this case demonstrates that constitutional expertise can emerge from unexpected backgrounds and that fundamental rights belong to all Americans regardless of their profession or public profile. Barrett nodded thoughtfully. Your arguments have forced this court to reconsider fundamental assumptions about celebrity rights and constitutional protection. This case will require careful consideration of principles I hadn't fully appreciated. The landmark decision. 2 weeks later, Judge Barrett issued a 67-page opinion that revolutionized both celebrity privacy law and constitutional jurisprudence. The ruling established that attorney-client privilege constituted a fundamental constitutional right that couldn't be violated regardless of the client's public status. More significantly, Barrett's opinion adopted Depp's constitutional framework, establishing new precedent that constitutional rights applied equally to all Americans regardless of fame, wealth, or public profile. The decision included an extraordinary judicial acknowledgement. This case demonstrates that constitutional wisdom can emerge from the most unexpected sources. Mr. Depp's analysis has fundamentally enhanced this court's understanding of how constitutional rights function in modern society. The Cultural Revolution. The Depp vs. global media decision sent shockwaves through both Hollywood and the legal establishment. Law schools immediately began studying Depp's constitutional arguments in their First Amendment courses. Constitutional scholars praised his analysis as landmark legal reasoning disguised as celebrity litigation. For Hollywood, the decision established crucial precedents protecting celebrity constitutional rights while preserving legitimate press freedom. For the legal profession, it demonstrated that constitutional expertise could develop outside traditional academic channels. Johnny Depp had proven that true constitutional mastery comes not from credentials alone, but from rigorous study, practical experience, and the intellectual courage to challenge established assumptions. The man who had entertained billions as Captain Jack Sparrow had achieved something far more significant. He had strengthened constitutional protections for every American citizen. If this incredible fictional story of hidden legal brilliance and constitutional courage inspired you, smash that like button and subscribe to Justice Warriors for more amazing tales of unexpected expertise challenging the most powerful institutions. Hit that notification bell so you never miss these extraordinary fictional stories of how intellectual preparation can triumph over institutional prejudice. What did you think of Johnny Depp's fictional constitutional mastery? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Important note: this is completely fictional entertainment content. Any resemblance to real events or persons is purely coincidental.